at least from my experience. Customers and carriers alike are pushing for more digitalization. Transformation makes further digitization of claims experiences really ambitious and difficult to undertake. And then there's the whole matter of adoption from stakeholders, users, customers, and adjusters alike. So it's really no picnic. So the timing of this topic and timing of trying to get adoption and figure out how to do that is really timely. So I really want to introduce our speakers today. So let's start first by introducing Amy Gilman and Meliza Carrion. They're teaming up from Amerisure. Amy is a claim experience specialist, and Meliza is a director of user experience at Amerisure. So welcome to both of you. We're also joined by Dragana Iveljic. She's an auto claim resolution manager at Branch Insurance. And then finally, with Sreejesh Kumar, he's insurance technology adoption expert at Whatfix. So as we talk about this today, there's three elements we want to keep in mind: people, process, and technology. With people, we know nothing happens without internal stakeholders and adoption. Process, from pain point to real-time data and analytics, and re-envisioning your claim process from end to end. And then finally, technology. Uncouple your core systems from front-end experiences to ensure that you continually improve with your tech stack without disruption to your customers. It is a Monday, so forgive me for for disrupting that. All right, so let's start off first and have Amy and then Meliza introduce yourselves and your topic today.
Absolutely. So hi, everyone. Meliza Carrion, as Alan mentioned, user experience director here at Amerisure, brand new role to the organization.
And I'm Amy Gilman. I'm a claims experience specialist, also a brand new role to the organization.
Yeah, so as you said, right, lots of changes going on, right? So Amerisure is reacting by changing some things internally and really bringing in these roles to help from a digital transformation perspective. And as we all know, digital transformation of any kind is a journey, right? It's a long journey. And we all have to jump on the train. And so that kind of sets me up for, the conversation going forward. So really it's about the communication to the business stakeholders, right? As Alan has already mentioned, the benefits from the investment, the customer buy-in, and of course, the key ingredient is internal buy-in. So we're all humans, and our basic response when things are changing are around hesitation. What's a new process? I have to learn something new. So in order to change that narrative, we need to lead with communication. And that is our approach. First we try to answer the question, what's in it for me? How is this going to make my life easier? And how does this help me serve our customers? It's about collaboration, right, Amy?
Absolutely. At Amerisure, we pride ourselves on communication, but we always approach it from a collaborative perspective. And our running joke is that it's not an official Amerisure meeting until someone says the word collaboration.
It is. We're a very collaborative organization, which is awesome for me, being a new employee. And really the employees are a huge part of that, right? They're frontline users. They have to take part in the training and the culture change. If we get this part right, in my opinion, it really sparks internally and spreads like wildfire. You only have employees at the beginning to be the early adopters, and they will actually be helping to evangelize the solution for you. And then, you can deploy specific key players throughout the organization, influencers, if you would, to be part of the actual design, because no one knows our customers better than our frontline users. So my going stance is putting on the train as early as possible, and then they will help advocate that change going forward. Here's a few ways we're doing that internally for Amy to talk about.
Absolutely. So we deliver messages to our organization in more conversational ways in the spirit of that collaboration. And that ensures that we're actually getting the key information because we know that the boots on the ground know our customers best. We often have our field employees deliver updated information and kind of share their direct experience examples, which helps others at our organization see living examples of how these kinds of changes that we might be making translate into their direct work. We also apply collaboration externally to our agency partners. We call our customers our partners because that's honest to goodness what they are. We want to understand what their needs are And we want to make the right changes so our partners can understand exactly what's in it for them, as Meliza said. When they know what's in it for them, they believe in it and they push it forward as well. We understand that one size doesn't fit all, so our external communication is often a strategic choice. Whether it's a survey we might send about a topic, we might do a forum type event, we might have a more intimate roundtable of key folks who have long relationships with us and understand what used to happen and kind of what needs to change, and we actually partner with them. We make general communication announcements on smaller topics through those digital means like email or our customer portal's news section. But the biggest thing is, never underestimate the power of a pilot program. We use pilot programs before we roll out a larger change, and we actually ask for feedback on those programs so that we can tweak them, adjust them, and make sure that we're meeting the need before we roll out anything formally across the board.
Yeah, and so that's the people portion of things, right? As Alan mentioned, without the people, we really can't get anywhere, right? Not only making sure that we're meeting that business value, but also, the customers and the internal employees. So now we've talked about the people, right? We're trying to get everybody on the train. We have to understand where we're headed. And that's where the process part comes in, right? From a user experience perspective, it's about that user-centered approach, right? We have to understand who you're building for and why. Create a vision statement that includes what's different about it. We even go as far as journey mapping, one-to-one personas with scenarios, right? So the visualization of the interactions for the users who are trying to accomplish a goal. And this is a qualitative research, right? Also, such as user interviews, field studies, seeing competitive intelligence. But the approach really allows for that holistic view around the entire journey, right? Which will include your high and low touch points, and help you discover even other opportunities that you didn't even set out to actually build. And most importantly, what it does is help align all of us, right? And okay, this is where we're headed together as a company. These are the goals. And it helps to bring that empathy for the end users, right? So that we can all kind of rally around, those pain points that they have. It also provides insights around recommendations, right? Metrics and ownership. This is going to increase revenue, decrease expenses, attract new customers, or enhance current customers' experience. This is all the customer-centric based outcomes rather than outputs, right? It allows us that ability to balance the user need with the business value. And Amy can explain now a little bit more specifically about what we're doing at the CXO organization here at Amerisure.
Absolutely. And as Meliza just said, we do focus on our customers rather than just features. And part of that focus for our claims department is our dedication to what we're calling the claims experience, or her acronym CXO, the Claims Experience Organization. We've actually expanded our claims department to feature claims employees whose primary job function is to own the claims relationship with our customers. Of course, our field adjusters are the experts at actually handling claims, but adding claims experience professionals helps us deliver a higher quality claims product, and that translates to more value added and ultimately a more holistic claims experience for our client. We've also begun taking the claims data that we have and using it to create analytic snapshots for our clients, which gives them more of a mile-high view of our claims data, so our customers can actually implement changes at their organization and mitigate future losses. Our data team has developed a system where they're able to code our insurance policies in a way so that we can actually organize large accounts by specific location or identify which department has the most injured employees. We can tell them what the actual injuries are that are driving their losses, and really anything that they need. The coding is basically tailored to our policyholders and it's specialized for each one. So they have their claims data organized in a way that makes sense for them. One of my favorite examples is we actually have a customer that wants their claims coded by team, and they call their teams by colors. So we actually have our claims coded that say like red team, green team, yellow team, blue team, and we can show them all the losses that they've had on each of those teams. We use the data that we collect to kind of organize and communicate trends to risk managers and to other claims involved people, either internally or externally. But it really helps our customers target what's actually happening in their facilities so they can move the needle and they can improve their operations moving forward.
Yeah, data, right? Big topic right now. It's all about the data, but it's not just about having the data. It's about translating that data in a way that they can use it. And so we're doing an immense amount of effort around that and getting really great feedback on that as well. So Now we've talked about, get the people on the train, figure out where you're headed. And now we have to plan how we're going to get there. And that's where technology really comes into play, right? Technology is a tool to help enable us into that future growth. And modernizations of systems is just a necessary evil for all of us, right? Because it's going to help us increase speed and improve agility and overall improve the customer experience, right? If we work on even the internal systems and processes, right, which I believe are usually, especially in the insurance industry, 75% of our hurdles, right, is kind of that internal view. It really is going to improve that end customer experience. And speed and response is specifically crucial around insurance claims, right? This is like a time of stress for our policyholders and the claimants. So we need to quickly be able to be as efficient and productive and as cost effective as possible. So Amy, you add a little bit more about, what we're doing more specifically and tactically right now around, our digital experience from a claims perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. And, meeting our customers' needs is our number one priority. Our digital capabilities are kind of intended to enhance and supplement our communication, but they don't replace the human interaction. They just help our customers get quicker access to information that's kind of less complex. And that frees up our service professionals to provide more value-added communication touch points. So we focused on developing new systems and enhancing existing systems to streamline that communication for those more routine inquiries. And some of our updates include things like ZipWhip. I'm sure a lot of other folks on this call or webinar have that capability as well, but it gives texting capabilities for our adjusters to be able to contact agents, policyholders, claimants. We also have a digital first notice of loss feature on our customer portal. Our customers are able to submit claims virtually at their convenience. It could be 24/7, and they can attach pertinent documents that filter into the claim file for adjusters. So that cuts down on document exchange. It's a one-stop shop for that purpose. We also have our customer portal as a whole. That lets our policyholders and our agency partners have a transparent view into our files. It shows adjuster log notes. It also shows financial transactions. They can set alerts in there, and they're able to pull spreadsheet reports on their claims with parameters of their choice. And this portal actually talks to our claim system. So the data is available and updated on demand. It's fantastic. And then finally, tying into what I said earlier, we're doing this data analytics snapshot tool now, and our team is able to capture that claims data and then import it into snapshots with like bar graphs and pie charts. And it shows a bird's eye view of what's actually occurring over a given time period and helps them identify trends.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And that's, we're at the very beginning of this journey for us here at Amerisure. But everything we do starts and ends with our customers, right? And we pride ourselves on our human relationships. So our goal is to build digital capabilities, right? And bring in technology that helps enhance that, right? So I kind of look at it as this idea of digital capabilities to help humans, right? And that's kind of our approach going forward. Still a lot of things to discover, but it's super exciting and super happy to be at the forefront of this kind of revolutionary change in our industry.
Well, thank you both. That was really terrific, not only doing it in tandem, but what I really like to hear is that you put the strategy and the change management forward and are also thinking about your technology. So good for you. You have a lot underway for a couple that are just starting out, in your own words. So let's next switch over to SJ. If you could just introduce yourself and tell us your part of this conversation, and then we're going to get to Dragana, who's sitting there patiently as well.
Absolutely, Alan. Thank you so much. It was lovely hearing Amy's and Meliza's remark that the transformation goal starts with communication and collaboration. So my name is SJ, and I'm a digital adoption expert with Whatfix, and I help carriers in their adoption journey. So just to build on to Meliza's remark about putting customers at the center of the journey map, I'd like to start today by focusing on what the customer is up to. So because as we millennials, it's the same end user. We book a cab with an Uber, we pay with a PayPal, and we order all the stuff from Amazon. So the mode of interaction for us millennials is turning digital, and we all expect the same seamless experience across the digital interactions. And that is what we are witnessing across the insurance industry also. But the biggest thing is, as we are learning, digitizing claims as Amy, Meliza, and Dragana would agree, has its own challenges. The past year, we at Whatfix have been working with some of the largest carriers, and they shared how the interactions with adjusters and customers have been shifting from a normal phone call to digital channels. And this shift, as you would know, has been coming for a long time. It's just been accelerated by all the pandemic. And then there are some areas we should all look at in order to unlock the power of the full digital claims experience. And as we discussed earlier, the first thing is understanding the customer's expectations rightly. As you would all know, despite large investments in digital F&OL processes, a McKinsey survey shows that 37% of customers still prefer claims to be reported offline or through an agent or via a call center. In fact, only 4% of the entire pool of claimants prefer going end-to-end through a digitized claims process, while the rest look to connect with someone at one point or other to resolve their claims. And even in such a hybrid scenarios, our customers are expecting a resolution which is as experiential and as fast as maybe an Amazon or booking an Uber. So this is something which we are seeing traditionally transforming the entire insurance industry. And this brings me to the point where communication and empathy is the crucial point of our discussion. So despite large digital investments, what typically happens is there is a lack of transparency and consistency, which are still major concerns for the customers. And as Amy and Meliza pointed out, they have put in a lot of investments in their digital F&OL process and the customer journey map. But as you would know, an Accenture study finds that 41% of customers who submit a claim switch their carrier within a year. And this is all attributable to poor customer experience. And when I was working with a lot of carriers, I sat through one of the empathy training, and one of the more seasoned examiners just got up from the chair and she said, I needed that empathy training so badly. I have become so hardened. So this is such a powerful aspect of a claims transformation, which is human, which we often overlook. So in this wave of all the speedy claims resolution, carriers may have displayed all the information that is necessary for the customer and is available in a customer-facing application. But that alone does not solve the anxiety or the queries or the gaps which are there in processing of the claims. They constantly seek help. They chat with a chatbot, call up a customer service agent, and they want a proper response. And when they don't get a prompt answer or a proper response, they begin to doubt the carriers. And so as we sort of summarize it, a fully powered digital claims is a combination of data-led technology, which is enabling speed. It's also proactive and transparent communication. And above all, it's a display of empathy. It's true that all our insurance products will benefit from getting more digitized, but the significance of human touch and expertise does not fade away. And I'm sure my fellow colleagues, panelists here, Amy, Meliza, and Dragana would agree with me that a claims adjuster still has a long way to go to build that great experience. And this brings us to the point and the basic premise and the question, how exactly can you achieve this? And we have to keep in mind the influx of new talent which is feeding into claims, and also the attrition. It's a millennial economy and people are moving out fast. And especially in the past 2 years, we need to look at bridging the gap between the rapid introduction of digital capability and their utilization. But how about the employees? From an employee perspective, what technology becomes is one more thing they have to learn and master. And this sort of creates a digital clutter. And the biggest challenge with the digital clutter is that employees are not effectively trained across all these applications or technology suites that are being introduced in their day-to-day work. The technology, which was eventually intended to move them forward, sort of holds them back. And as you all know, it's a complex world of claims. It involves all the state-specific regulations, you have the bylaws, and of course, the humans. We are talking about introducing pool of complexities to the adjusters in the form of different digital applications. I believe in this wave of digitization and reimagining the adjuster's role, our methods of learning needs to be relooked at. This training gap is sort of a negative catalyst, and it results in employees making more errors. It sort of makes them lose time. It requires frequent retraining exercises and so on. And we aren't able to achieve the goals that we had set out when we introduced these applications. And of course, carriers begin to see negative returns on technology investment. And the end result, what we started off with was delivering a seamless customer experience. We are not able to deliver it. So how do we sort of prepare the employees for this change and for this new digital era which is coming in? And this is exactly where I believe Whatfix digital adoption platform playbook comes in. It's a step-by-step approach on how organizations can accelerate their digital proficiency. And this is by using guided interactive workflows to support learning in the flow of work. With the DAP, whether you're working on hurricane damages in the state of Texas or Florida, or maybe assessing a renter's insurance in New York City, you have guidance available at every step. It also automates a lot of your manual tasks, provides smart nudges at critical points, and contextually highlights and helps an adjuster where they might be making a mistake. So it's your buddy. And as Meliza said, it's human for a human. And I'd love to share a story how the solution sort of came alive with one of our customers, Sentry Insurance. So together, what we did was we first analyzed the course of differential business processes and the customer experience across the 8 lines of business. And we understood there are differential training needs and learning needs across these 8 business lines. And with such a variety of platforms for Sentry Insurance, they needed an efficient way to train every user on the application relevant to them. And the company's vast number of employees and customers meant that self-serviceability was the most important fact. In addition to application-specific training, Sentry also wanted to provide just-in-time support and contextual learning. And this was contextual learning across your state regulations, process guidelines, customer data, and so on. So it was a single window of information available for them when they are on a customer call, for them to be empathetic, for them to be able to respond to the customer in a timely manner. And what does it result in? It resulted in a faster and a more accurate claims processing because the human and the system friction just got eliminated. And at the end, the bottom line was we were able to save over $1 million in revenue just in year 1. And just to sum it up, Alan, given the competition and my fellow panelists might see in real life, carriers are focused on 2 big things. One is speed to market, and second is customer experience. And so there is a big focus on core system transformation, or be it process standardization, bringing in self-serviceability, or even automation. And this is to drive claims efficiency and improve bottom line. But claims efficiency is not just having the right technology or the right processes in place. It's also about enabling the workforce to be effective with their tools and the processes. And that is exactly where a digital adoption platform and Whatfix come in. I would just like to wrap it up by expressing my gratitude to Guidewire team as they identified the potential opportunity and partnered with Whatfix as we enhance the proficiency of the insurance industry wherever Guidewire is present. So that's my 2 cents, Alan, and thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, SJ. That was fantastic. And, you know, I'm beginning to get a theme here this morning by putting a couple things together. And I think if you wanted to write it down, it's digital claims is for humans by humans. And that really goes to say a lot about the thoughtfulness and care that's going into making these kind of changes, but also the complexity and the nuance that's involved. And I think there's a great appreciation of that. Before we go to Dragana, I just want to remind the audience that if you do have questions, feel free to send them in. We're going to make plenty of time here to get to those questions. We have some others as well that we want to cover, so feel free to do that on the link. Dragana, if you could, thank you for taking this all in and being the last but not the least to give us your introduction and perspective as well.
Yes, thank you, Alan, and good morning, everyone. My name is Dragana Iveljic, and I am the Auto Claims Resolution Manager at Branch Insurance. So I think a lot of what I'll say will echo my fellow panelists this morning, but I think it just goes to show how critical people, process, and technology are when it comes to transforming the claims experience to meet the needs of today's digital consumers. So I'd like to start off by first talking about why that matters. When you think about the claims experience, really aside from the purchase of the policy, it's the only time that the policyholder will interact with their carrier. So it's that one opportunity to really drive customer satisfaction, increase loyalty, retention. But as we know, it goes either one of two ways. It's positive or negative depending on the experience, and it can break trust among policyholders and insurers if it is a negative experience. So historically, when you think about the claims process, it can be a confusing and difficult one. And on top of this already unfortunate situation, the policyholder is often required to go through a cumbersome process, which usually includes spending a lot of time on the phone. Historically, you're calling to set up a claim, you're then speaking with your assigned adjuster, oftentimes restating the same set of information you've already provided. And in the case of an auto claim, you're talking to multiple additional parties, such as your appraiser, your body shop, the tow truck driver to arrange a tow to the shop. So by this point, you've spoken with multiple parties and the vehicle repairs haven't even begun yet. So the point here I want to make is that often there are multiple touch points and points of contact before the customer can experience any sense of relief. And although those touch points may still have to occur, is there a way to streamline them or even automate them so that they can occur in the background and appear seamless to the customer? And the answer to that is yes. So as customers' expectations increase, we have to adapt and find new ways to meet different customer needs. Some customers do want that personal interaction, but others want the ability to interact at the click of a button using any device wherever they may be. So let's break that down a little bit further. When you think about how to re-envision your claims process, you can often start with utilizing existing data. So as it's been mentioned, data and analytics is going to play a key role in helping streamline some of those claims processes. You're going to see technological enhancements that start to roll out, including the ability to provide customers with a real-time status update, digital damage assessment, electronic documentation and signatures, and even something as simple as pre-filled forms. So depending on the line of business or the type of claim, you may even reach a point where you can process claims automatically or leverage telematics, such as a trigger for a first notice of loss entry upon indication of an accident. So all that being said, it's helpful to take a step back and kind of put yourself in the shoes of the customer. If they absolutely have to file a claim, what is the best possible experience for them to go through? It's important to understand what your current state is, and then also when mapping out your future state, keeping in mind that model should be flexible so that you can make changes quickly, and that way you can take advantage of any new technology in the market. Also, when you think about creating a digital claims experience, you should think about integration possibilities and working with innovation partners. Notice I said innovation partners and not vendors, and that's because I think it's really important to determine partnerships that share with parties that share common values, that utilize technology, and that help create that seamless experience for your customers. A lot of times less is more, meaning the simpler you can make that process for the customer, the greater the experience. So I've talked a little bit about, technology and processes, but I don't want to take away from how important people are and all, of the comments that we've mentioned already, which is despite this increasingly automated claims world, claims professionals will continue to play a crucial part, not only in ensuring that the technologies are successful, but also in helping us move forward in this new digital world. Not only, do they have to be properly integrated, but they also have to understand these new processes. So to SJ's point, what does that training look like? Can you involve them in the process and allow them to provide feedback and have it be really an interactive experience? When parts or several parts of the claims experience are digitalized, it results in increased efficiency and accuracy, which allows the claim professional to focus on optimal claims outcomes and have technology assist with some of those labor-intensive tasks. But it does not mean that the claims professional role disappears. Rather, it evolves. And, despite this increasing trend for digitalization, not every policyholder wants to interact virtually, or not every claimant wants to interact virtually. So it's important that, they have the option to choose, and that there is support for those that get stuck in the process, whether they have questions or just would rather talk it through. And beyond that, not every situation will allow for a digital experience. So it may be necessary for a claims professional to intervene, and having a streamlined process where they can intervene without much disruption to the customer is really important. Even in cases where an experience may be fully automated, there could still be value in reaching out to customers and really establishing that human-to-human interaction. So I'll just say it again, while a digital claims experience will reduce cycle time and probably help your expenses, it also really doesn't replace that human touch and interaction. And the tasks of claims professionals will change, but the importance of human connection never will. So to summarize, I think there are a few key takeaways to unlocking the full power of a digital claims experience, and they include understanding what customers want, why it matters, streamlining claims processes using technological integrations and innovation partnerships, and finally, supporting the evolution of claims professionals while empowering them to create these positive customer experiences in this new digital claims age.
Thank you. It really is a balance. And I think striking that balance is really difficult and challenging. So we've got some good questions coming up that I think will go a little bit deeper. We're going to start with the first question. I'm going to ask Amy if you take a stab at this one. It comes from the audience. And what are some specific technological suggestions, i.e. apps, portals, and other recommendations you have for improving tech capabilities?
So full disclosure, and you said before we started, I'm going to need to pass that one. I'm a people specialist, not a tech specialist.
I threw you a fast.
Yeah.
That was a quick pitch.
That sounds like an SJ question to me.
Sounds like an SJ question.
But I'd like to provide a little bit of insight into it, just from the little bit of short term that I've been, here at Amerisure. Really want some of the things, and I believe SJ mentioned Guidewire, right? It's a really great solution that we're actually implementing today. We use it for our claims, using it for a policy and admin system. And they even have a customer portal that sits on top of that. So it's something that it's in the industry, it's serving a lot of our industry. And if somebody else is already doing it right, don't go try to build a custom solution. If you can actually borrow one or use one, that's kind of, and of course, Salesforce is another great solution that is pretty popular from a CRM perspective. SJ, do you want to add anything?
No, absolutely, Meliza. You touched upon the very great point here, where there's always a big question, and you would have seen in your 30 plus years of experience, what would it take for you to build versus what would it take for you to buy? And in this rapid era of digitization and customer wanting everything right up front in a fast-paced manner, we are always evaluating that possibility of a build versus buy. And there are great technology solutions out there, be it the likes of robotic process automation available for streamlining your low-end or low-touch claims, or be it document data extractions through OCR and tools. You also spoke about ZipWhip for customer communication. There are a lot of technology available in the market out there. But the biggest challenge what we see in the industry is an adjuster on a day-to-day basis, and Meliza, correct me if I'm wrong, they would be touching upon at least 5 different applications at every point in time for a customer or an internal communication. It could range from a Guidewire Claim Center to a Duck Creek Policy Center or a ZipWhip for communication, and so on and so forth. And the biggest challenge here is the proficiency of the employees. How do we get them to be proficient on the applications faster and faster? And that is where a solution like a digital adoption platform comes in. It's your buddy, sits with you and guides you daily on what steps you need to take to complete a process. If you're going wrong, it comes by your shoulder, taps you and tells you, hey, you're going wrong here. I just need to correct it before moving forward. And we are all virtual now. We don't have the luxury of sitting beside a supervisor or a training team member to get our work done faster. We always need that assistant, always need that buddy. And that is where a newer technology and a newer solution like a digital adoption platform is also emerging in this industry.
And if I may add, I think that, we focus a lot on the customer experience, and Dragana had some great, ideas of how we can do that. But a focus on the internal is huge. I read a stat the other day that most enterprise industries have like over 900 applications with only a 27% integration point. So that means that our employees are shifting to SJ's points from point A, B, C, just to actually meet one customer demand. So there's a lot of opportunity to actually take an internal view in and see what we can do from a processes and internal technology perspective as well.
No, some great points. I mean, certainly the number of applications, and then Dragana's point about the fact that there's a number of other entities that may be speaking to your customers about their claim before you even get a chance to get them on a pathway. So a lot of moving parts. Amy, I do want to come back to you. I think this one really fits where you're at is, what role do adjusters play in getting customer digital adoption to increase?
That is a great question, and definitely something I can speak to. I actually come to this role as a former adjuster. And before we created, these experience specialists who are able to kind of help onboard that and allow our adjusters to focus more on the personalized touches related to claims. They were doing a lot of that because they're the ones interacting with our customers like all the time. They are the frontline employees, and they are the folks that, interact and deliver on that promise every single day. So I think that, what I notice in our organization, at least, is that our adjusters are great partners and great at understanding what we have to offer, and kind of, to Meliza's point earlier, they're the ones who are actually championing all of our initiatives, and they're the ones who are telling our customers, because they're the ones in front of them, hey, this is what we have available. Hey, can I connect you with someone like Amy who can show you how to use this? And we, add those little chains together, and it creates a very long tail for our customers to be able to say, okay, from the front end to the next person that I spoke to actually utilizing these technical capabilities that I was unaware of. That gives them a great experience. And also it helps them know that we're all working together for their best interest.
Great. And then Meliza, what are some of the key strategies you've taken to map out the digital transformation for the entire claim process? And, I'm saying the entire claim process because that's what we tend to think about is the journey is to get to a complete end-to-end. It's often expressed as straight through processing or touchless claims or completely digital claims. But I'm interested to see how you're taking an approach on that entire transformational process.
Yeah, sure. So, it is an entire journey, right? And I love what Dragana had to say at the very beginning about, our customers interact with us when they're trying to buy a policy, but then their first touch point is usually a negative one for them, right? And so how can we help ease that, right? And so some of the things that we're doing internally to really help approach that is by doing internal interviews. We are literally sitting down with our employees. Yes, we're talking to our agencies and our policyholders to understand their goals, but understanding from the adjuster's points. Right? What can we do to help enhance this flow and this journey? How can we make it easier for our customer? And, something as simple as, can we automate the rental car, process? Instead of my adjuster spending all this time trying to get a rental car for a policyholder, what can we do from a digital perspective to get that customer to say, okay, they're going to take care of me. I'm not really sure what's going on yet, but I feel at ease, right? So it's really understanding those motivators that's really going to help us to be successful from a customer perspective, right? And that includes our internal folks, obviously. Okay. Any other strategies? Outside of that, we're doing a ton of competitive intelligence, right? Trying to understand what others are doing. I think is super smart to do as well, right? And not reinvent the wheel. What are some of these key technical capabilities that we can actually bring into our fold, but hopefully integrate it, in a seamless perspective, not create yet another touch point for our customers.
Great. I think we have another question, and I think this will be good for Dragana. how do you introduce new digital processes with so many traditional process and practices already in play? And I think what we mean there is there's so many processes and practice that are focused on regulation and performance and best practices and so forth. So how do you go about introducing those new digital ways of doing things on top of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key here is, again, like going back to the thought of collaboration and communication, and understanding why we have the best practices that we do, or like why a process exists. The core of understanding the source of why we're doing what we're doing, and then also being able to show how those changes will help improve that adjuster's day-to-day life. If you're talking specifically about adjusters, or if you're referring maybe to the policyholder, from their perspective, like how does this improve their experience? If there are new changes, those are going to be sometimes challenging to overcome because people get kind of stuck in that, well, I'm used to doing it this way and this is how I've always done it. But if you can show the value add in establishing some of those new processes, and a lot of times it's going to be, efficiency of time from a customer perspective, it'll be a better experience because, they have more time to talk to their adjuster. They have time to ask those questions because their adjuster isn't busy, spending time doing routine tasks or doing things that are really kind of low value and don't contribute to that end result. So, for me, I think it's a matter of kind of going back to the core of why you're doing what you're doing, how it adds value to the person, that's the end user of that process change. And then also being there to support through the process. So there are going to be hiccups. There are going to be situations where maybe things don't pan out as you thought they would. And so what does that feedback loop look like? And ensuring that you have transparency throughout the process and allowing for questions and feedback, as it arises, I think is another really crucial piece.
Why are you doing what you're doing? I think is probably the best thing I'd underline about all that, because so often we apply technology to maybe solve a problem that may not quite be there, or it's ahead of changing the process to make sure that technology works to its highest potential. This next one comes from outside. I'm not going to choose a name here. I'm going to let whoever wants to answer this one can raise their hand. How can tech be beneficial to protect fraud from a suspected auto claim? In the example wherein a policyholder might have represented something false. So what do you see about the fraud tech that can actually help this digital process? Anybody? I don't have any takers, so I think I can maybe chime in. My perspective on this one is, the fraud fighting capacity of insurance carriers is really a challenging spot because the way digital claims is making things accelerate and go faster. So some of the traditional tools of investigating a claim after it's been reported, and then after something's been inspected or after statements have been taken, gives you a little bit of element of time to address some of those things. But we're in a digital claim where things are happening spontaneously. The whole idea of processing a claim in minutes or hours or whatever the case may be, that advantage has to come from technology screening and identifying anomalies early on in the process. So I do think technology with voice analytics, you hear some of that emerging, image analytics to see if there's anything that doesn't quite add up, certainly metadata. There's a number of different insurtech tools that are out there that are quite good, and they're doing some of these things, but it still takes having the right process in the first place. Okay. Oh, go ahead. Anyone?
Oh, sorry.
Please.
Yeah, I was just going to add, even with technology and like utilizing technology, for example, one of the things that you mentioned is, with photos, like for, if someone is completing a photo estimate, putting in place barriers so that like those photos cannot be edited, for example, like, there's many different additions to these digital tools that, continue to enhance the capability to detect fraud. And also, I think it's important to have an opportunity to kind of elevate those one-off situations where necessary to a live person to maybe take over handling. So if there is suspected fraud, or if there is something that seems a little bit suspicious and the digital capabilities were there to help detect that information, then taking it a step further and allowing that kind of human touch and, a person who has the ability to make, critical decisions and review the information to really be the final say on whether or not you'll move forward with the claim, or, how you want to address that particular situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. This next question I really like. It kind of is a perfect segue that you gave to this one. And I think, SJ, maybe you could tackle it. It's what kind of tools exist that help adjusters identify claim steps that are best suited to digital versus human channels? So making that choice of which channel to go to.
Yeah, that's a very great question, Alan. So the basic premise of us understanding which steps can be processed by a human versus processed by a digital channel relies on multiple different factors. One is, what is the data and analytics behind that step with regards to the past claim information or the past process information that you already have. So if you have the data and analytics about the information and the technology available for us to identify which steps can be automated and which steps require human channels, that would be the first step for you to identify. More importantly, as we had the discussion and the questions in the past, how do we analyze fraud? So this is again a very classic case where a step or a process of digital FNOL or perhaps the filing of a claim can be automated, but at steps which requires human interactions and requires human touch point, that can be analyzed through data and analytics. And there are multiple tools and technologies available at the forefront, which helps not just humans, but also the customers experience this transformation by doing things on their own. I think my fellow panelists are more experienced in experiencing this technology right up front with their customers and with their agents. I would like to pass it on to them for further input.
Yeah, I was going to add, the InsurTech space is ridiculous right now, right? It is just, I got a report the other day that had over 200 players in it that have just like in the last year come up, right? And obviously, the pandemic is causing a lot of this. But my recommendation would be to figure out the problem, right? And then find a solution for it first. So make sure you identify the real problem you're trying to solve before you find a solution. And then additionally, partner up with somebody like Navarica, who can help you really assess, it's a company we use a lot. It really helps us assess what all those capabilities are and whether, it's something that's really suitable for us from a feasibility perspective, a usability perspective, right? Does it really fit into your ecosystem? That would be the only kind of advice I have around, all these new tools that we have coming up.
There certainly are a lot of tools and a lot of choices. So it's
too many.
And I think a lot of people would agree that sometimes there's too many, and even trying to understand how you classify them and compare contrast is a full-time job. But it's also kind of a mixed blessing, because we're at a time where we've never seen so many different choices and the abundance of technology that seems to be pointing mostly toward claims underwriting to some extent as well. And so it's a mixed bag. Amy, I want to come back to you, because I think you are probably the closest to the front lines, and really important here, because we've said it over and over again, customer importance. So what are customers saying about new process and tools? How are they thinking about them?
So I think as long as they are, delivered in a way where we're able to take them along on the journey with us, we're all on the train together. They've been extremely receptive, and we try to be extremely cognizant of the fact that, whenever you're throwing new things at anybody, it's human nature to be like, whoa, what's that? But we very much approach it in a, we're so excited about this because we are. And I get excited about all the things that we're doing and how that can improve the claims process. So I think that, as long as we make, our customers' perception, our perception, and we put those glasses on and say, hey, what are our customers' pain points? What are they going to question? They're not insurance professionals, but they're our customers, and we're here to teach them about insurance and about what we do for them. As long as we keep that kind of in the forefront of our mind, their feedback has been incredible so far, especially with our updates to our customer portal and the ability to peel the curtain back a little bit and say, hey, you have a question about a file, and you can't get your adjuster on the phone because they're in a claim review right now, well, guess what? You could just click this button, read their most recent note, and from here, send them an email. They love that. That makes their life so much easier. So I also think that as long as we approach it in a way, which that's why we make the decisions we make and the updates we make, if we approach it in a way where we're saying, how can we make their life easier? How can we understand their pain points and then use our technical capabilities to make their lives easier and make their questions answered for them? They're very appreciative of that. We've had great feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree completely with that, Amy. It really is about that customer-centric perspective, right? And I was at a conference last week where they talked about how at the end of the day, we think that our customers love insurance, right? They don't love it like we love it, right? And so we have to be empathetic towards that. For them, it's a necessary evil, right? So it's about that ease of use and communicating that and even showing them that, not just asking them, right? Because if you ask them, you know, they're not going to know the answers. But if you show them how it will benefit their bottom line or how it can help their customer or whatever it may be, whatever model you're in, that's really where the value is really going to come in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it maybe when it's, you know, a situation, you know, if you're an individual contributor, a claims professional, and you're working with a customer and they're feeling frustrated, it's hearing them out and really understanding where they're coming from, because that may lead to an improvement that would benefit everybody. So a lot of times I think we just have to take a step back and really listen to what that core complaint is, because maybe it is a legitimate issue and maybe it's something that can be easily addressed. And continue to make that a better experience for both the claims professional as well as the customer. And then also being there to kind of show them how to do it the first time around, right? This is maybe new to some people and uncomfortable, you know, if you're used to most of your life an appraiser coming out to inspect your vehicle and now all of a sudden all you're going to do is take a photo of the damage, it's important for them to feel comfortable in that process, and maybe that takes walking them through it. But I do think that that's important. And, you know, we all have, you know, shared that the customer experience is really what matters to us. And so I think when you take that approach, you really do have to be there and, you know, help them out, be their best friend on their worst day.
Yeah, I think that's so important, especially with digital. It's so easy to think that the digital means is supporting or satisfying what the customer wants and needs, but we've all been there. You sometimes get a text and that just provokes more questions and conversations. So you just need to be there when it matters. I've got another terrific question from the audience, and it's posed in a bit of a survey approach. So I'll ask each one of you to kind of weigh in. This is your prediction. When does each panelist expect most US personal lines claims will be at least 80% digitized? And your choices are 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, or if ever. So let's go with Meliza first and get your prediction on that, then to Dragana and SJ and Amy.
I wanted to go last because I wanted to see what everybody else had to say, but and I hope nobody's holding me to this, but I mean, I think we're making a lot of progress on the personal lines from what I've seen. There's a lot of integration points. There's a lot of mobile capabilities being brought in already. So I'm going to go with 5 years.
5 years. Okay. Dragana, what do you think?
I guess maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic, and I think it'll be sooner than that. So I'll actually take a bit of a shortcut, and I think we'll be, you know, within the next 2 years. I think there's going to be some significant, you know, improvements, and it's going to allow us to become more digitalized. But I do think that it's the 80% is a good number, because I don't think we'll ever be fully digital. Because it, you know, you need to, like we've said, there's situations where that's not a possibility. But yeah, I'm going to go with 2 years.
Okay, 2 years. I like it. SJ?
That was a great question, but the fundamental thing is we want to understand what the current baseline is. And for the current baseline for every carrier is very different. Some carriers are at 20% digitization, some are at 50. For them, there are different speeds. So some of them are moving at tremendous speeds. They could become 80% digitized within the next 2 years. Some of them could happen in the next 5 years, and some maybe 10 years. You never know. And Perhaps the next year down the line, you would find 100% digitized process, and some of them already exist currently. So it's the pace with which the carriers want to move. But I think a range between 2 to 5 years is something which I am expecting, at least 75 to 80% digitization happening in this space.
Fair enough. I mean, context does matter, right? It's what
You're
size
cheating,
claims,
SJ.
but what companies. But Amy, your prediction.
SJ makes an excellent point in what he said. But if I had to take a guess, I think because we are pushing digitalization so hard as an industry, and because it's becoming so much more increasingly important, I'm going to side with Dragana and say more along the lines of 2 years.
Great. If I had to throw my own in there, I'd say you're right. We're more closer to the starting gate than we are the finish line of this new way of doing claims, digital or straight through processing or touchless, whatever we're calling it. I'm going to go somewhere between the 2 and 5 as well, only because I'm looking at the industry as a whole and thinking that there's some that are further behind and others are way ahead. So we've got a long way to go as an industry. We've got about 5 minutes left. And in that time, I want to also do a lightning round here and get from each one of you. So we'll have to balance that out. What's next ahead for claims in 2022? So that's the future question. I put it out there as the 1 year ahead because it's so easy to think, well, it's not easy. It's easier to theorize what we may look like in 10 years or 5 years even. But really, what's around the corner in 2022? So Dragana, we'll start with you first.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think everything that we discussed times 10. So by that, I mean, we talked a lot about, the customer experience and people being a key part of that. But I also think something maybe we didn't talk as much about is all of the technological advancements and all of the capabilities and possibilities out there. So for me, 2022 looks very busy, meaning, lots more of lots more integration, lots more technology, using artificial intelligence to a greater extent, robotics, automatic claims handling, automatic claims processing. So for me, it's a very different world in 2022. And I guess let's check back in next year this time and see where we're at, if I was right or wrong. But I'd be willing to bet that a lot more technology is gonna make headway. And I think that people will be more receptive to it as we get further along in this journey, both from a carrier perspective and a customer perspective.
Great. Perfect. Meliza, what's your outlook for next year?
I mean, I echo, it's going to be a very, very busy year. Lots of moving parts, right? It's at the beginning of this digital transformation for us in particular. And yes, I was going to even mention, right, like how can we leverage AI to really help us? And really, I'm looking at it more from the customer experience perspective at the interaction level, right? So as we're building all these digital capabilities, what tools are we bringing in to measure that so that we can then enhance them and make them better, or even, decide that it wasn't going to be the right solution to begin with. So what tools can we integrate into the actual systems to help us do that? It's going to be a big focus for us for 2022.
Great. Amy, what do you see around the corner?
Whenever I think of the future for any industry, really, it's that everything is getting faster. And because we are, enhancing all of these capabilities for our customers, I think they're going to become accustomed to getting things on demand. And I think that we need to be really mindful of that moving forward so that we can, hold hands and run together faster and faster so that we can get the information to them.
Great. And SJ, I'm giving you like 30 seconds or less. So in a couple words, sorry.
Absolutely. No problem. I know. So one thing I know is the 75% that we had aimed for in the next 2 to 5 years, that's going to accelerate a lot faster. But from an industry point of view, as Dragana and Meliza mentioned, there are a lot of AI-led tools which are coming in. And most importantly, it's the usage-based insurance, which is coming in very heavily in the market. So your telematics, your usage-based telemetry, and so on and so forth, that is what is going to change for me the next year. I hope I don't get caught.
No, I'm not going to cut you off. Well, listen, everyone, this has been fantastic. It sounds like 2022 is going to be even more exciting. So I hope that everyone can take some of the, for our US audience members, enjoy Thanksgiving and some holiday time and be prepared for 2022 because it sounds like it's going to be another rocket ride. So for everyone, thank you for this panel and attending today. And we hope you enjoyed Connected Claims by Reuters. And we hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much.